Hi, I'm Will Jansen from Walsh Middle School. Today I'm going to be showing you how to fix a chain on a bicycle. The first thing that we're going to discuss is the tools that you'll need to do this process properly. First, you're going to need a crescent wrench that is the correct size for the nut for the rear wheel. In our case right now, it's going to be a 15 millimeter wrench. If you don't have a 15 millimeter wrench, you can use an adjustable crescent wrench or a pair of channel locks or any of the pliers. Using a regular crescent wrench in the correct size is going to be your best bet because you won't strip the nut. Using an adjustable crescent wrench is your next best bet because you have a better ability to have the correct size all the time. The next thing you'll need is a screwdriver. Most likely you'll need a Phillips head screwdriver. A flathead will work if you don't have a Phillips head. It's always good to have Allen keys around just in case one of the pieces on the bike that you need to move has an Allen key fitting. I like to use a multiple set, and it's never bad to have a hammer in case things are stuck. The next thing we need is the bicycle itself. So you can see here the chain has fallen off. There are multiple ways to put the chain back on. You can try and just force it back on without actually taking the bicycle apart. But in this case, we're going to take the whole back end apart and put it back together so that it's a more permanent fix and it stays together a lot better. So to start out, I'm going to flip the bicycle over so that it stays where I want it to be. So I'm going to do this backwards from the other side so that you can see what's going on, but in your case you're going to want to be on the side that the chain is on so that you can actually see what's going on and do what you need to do. So the first thing that I need to do is take this plastic chain cover off. I'm going to use my Phillips head screwdriver. I'm going to find all the screws. So there's one screw right here that goes into the crank, and then there's also another screw down here in the rear part of the frame. Now while you're taking the pieces off, if the bicycle is dirty, it's a good time to wipe things off. Get all the extra loose dirt and everything off. You don't want dirt everywhere. Make sure you keep all of your fittings together. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Alright, now that I've taken those two fittings off, I'm just going to slide this off. Whole thing, one piece, not broken, didn't have to force it. Alright, my next step is I'm going to loosen the rear wheel. Again, 15 millimeter crescent wrench. Loosen that up. So this bike used to have training wheels, so there are two sets of nuts on here. If you do not have the training wheels on anymore, you don't need the outside nut that's on there. So now I'm down to just one. I'm going to loosen that up just enough so it'll move. I'm going to do the same thing on the back side. Loosen the wheel a little bit. You don't need to take the wheel off completely for you to be able to do this. Alright, now that I have the wheel loose, you can see it'll move back and forth. It's going to be a little tight. There's one piece on here. This piece right here, that's for the coaster brake. You can loosen this if it's hard to move the wheel around, but you don't always need to move it. Just loosen this screw right here, and it'll allow you to slide the wheel back and forth. This is not a step that you'll have to do with every bike. Alright, so the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to put the chain back onto the sprocket in the front and then the sprocket in the rear. When the wheel is loose, it doesn't matter which way you put these on. Alright, so now that that's on, you can see it's very loose. I'm going to work my wheel back, making sure that the chain stays on the sprocket. Alright, and you can see that's a decent amount tighter. I'm going to try and make sure that my wheel is as straight as possible, and I'm going to tighten the rear bolt first. Alright, so the one that's opposite the chain side. It's actually going to be the same side that your coaster brake lever is on. If you're doing it by hand, get it together as tight as you can. If you're using power tools, don't put it too tight, you'll strip out the bolt. Alright, once I'm ready to tighten this up, I want to make sure that the chain has a little bit of play, but not a lot. The way you can do this, put your hand in between the frame and the tire, grab on, and you're going to pull the tire towards the chain. That's going to cause you to have more tension on the chain. Alright, if you're doing it by hand, just squeeze it as tight as you can, and then tighten down this bolt. Alright. You can hear that sound, there's a little bit of clicking going on. That means the chain is too tight. And if you push on this, there's not a lot of give to it. So we're going to loosen this a little bit. A little bit of squeeze. We don't want it that loose. Just a little bit of jiggle to it. Clicking, nice and slow, no click. Coaster brake still works. So at this point, once the chain has a little bit of wiggle, but not a lot, enough that it won't come off the sprocket anymore, that's all set. Make sure everything's nice and tight. If you did loosen the caster brake lever on the back, now's the time that you want to tighten it back up. Alright, and then we're going to put our chain guard back on. I'm going to put the pedal in the up position for where it is right now. Slide this in and over everything. Some of these chain guards are more of a pain to get back on or off than others. This one happens to be a really easy one to do. Put that on. My 2 screws. Make sure you're using the correct one for the correct placement of each. So when I do this, if it's a plastic guard, there's usually going to be an indentation from where the screw was last time. Try to just put it in the same spot. That way you won't have to worry about having to adjust it because it's scraping later on. Next step, I'm going to put this in here. Tighten down the last one. I'm not going to tighten this one down all the way, just enough so that the guard stops moving. And before I go any further and tighten it all down, I'm going to pedal the bike again and make sure that the guard isn't hitting the chain anywhere. Awesome. Tighten that down. Now these screws don't have to be super tight because you're just screwing plastic into a metal body. If you do go too tight, that's when you'll run into cracking the plastic. Alright, that's it. That's how you put a chain back on a smaller bike. Later on, I will do a video on how to fix a chain on a mountain bike, which can be a little easier. I'll also go over how to adjust the gears on a mountain bike, and anything else that you would like to see a video on how to repair a bicycle, just let us know and send a request, and I'd be glad to do the video. Thank you. Have a great day.